See, this is wrong. I mean, it's right if I'm going to that hole, but it's wrong for the first hole. See, this is wrong too. This is wrong, obviously. And believe it or not, even this is wrong, even though it looked good. 90% of golfers still get these things wrong when it comes to their chipping. This is by far the number one biggest thing we're still doing wrong when it comes to our chipping. I see this all the time. We get that ball way back and our hands way forward. We have to stop doing that, because that will happen more often. Well, you never want that. So that's something we gotta fix. We hear hands forward. So this is most people's interpretation of the hands forward thing. And that is basically taking whatever wedge you're using and de-lofting it to make it more like a 6-iron. And that is something we don't want with this type of shot, because as we de-loft, now our margin for error shrinks as well. So we have to hit that ball perfectly. And then the reason we chunk it is because when you take a lofted wedge and you de-loft it to a 6-iron loft, your brain knows, ooh, we better slow down because that thing's gonna come out low and hot. So we double down on this also by backing that ball up. Even if we kept normal loft and had our hands where they're supposed to be in the center, we're still de-lofting that. But then we do this and get our hands even more forward. That's why we hit behind the ball, because we're slowing down, we're decelerating, which causes this. That's ugly. And then you're doing it again and again and again, and then you're finally like, let's go to the next hole. We don't want that anymore. So instead of that, here's what we're gonna do. Hands are just gonna be right off our chest. No matter what you hear or say, believe it or not, when your hands are right down the middle, they're already forward enough. That's plenty. So get your hands here. Now, move that ball forward, right here. It's still not back. This would be too much. You're not doing that. Your hands are right there. And that ball's a little more forward in your stance. And then now, here's how you get ball contact first. You do everything with your weight, and you just get your weight forward here. That's it. Now, your hands are a little more forward without exaggerating them too much. So how do we get forward? All our weight, not like all of it. Get all of it. Why not? Just get all of your weight on your left side. Here you go. Now everything's perfect. And then you just glide that club right through the turf instead of stabbing it in behind the ball. So, feet super close together, one club width apart. Ball more on the left instep, right on the left side of the foot, the shoe. Hands in the middle, right here. And then now all our weight is forward. There we go. And then we can brush that grass. Now that you got that one down, let's go to the second biggest mistake we're doing with our chip shots. Although I just made that one, we have to use a different club. This is my 60, but 99% of the time, we need a different club. And 90% of golfers are using the wrong club when it comes to chipping, all because they think because they're close, they need a lot of loft. Not necessarily the case. This is my 54. Same setup as before. And almost the same result. But with less loft, you're gonna have more consistent results for the average player. That you can do all day long. And when you make a mistake, usually it's from coming up short. Like that. And we still get a good rollout. All because we didn't use too much loft. We used the right amount of loft. And then if you need more height, don't go to more loft. Just go and scooch that ball up a little more forward. Everything else stays the same. So we got just a little more height with that. And practice that with the 54, the 50, the pitching wedge. Don't be afraid to go to the pitching wedge. It's the same thing. You just have a lot more forgiveness now. Things get easier with less loft in the chipping range. Guys, I want to earn your trust here. If I get this within 5 feet of that hole, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and in the link in the video description below, sign up for our newsletter. We'll send you some cool discounts and deals. What, did we get it? Did we get it? Yeah, I think we're close. Close enough. Back to the video. Stop doing this. This is what I see a lot. Watch my feet. I see this all the time. This feet get scooched this way. A lot of golfers think that opening up and aiming your body left means turning your feet sideways like this and doing something like this. This is not opening up. All this does is shut the face. It doesn't shut the face, it delofts the club. And we already talked about delofting the club. When you do this, you're essentially delofting that club. So now my 54 turns into that 6-iron again. And you do that. And it zings across the green. Just remember, when your feet turn like this, you're backing the ball up in your stance and delofting that club. And you're doing that. Most golfers get that piece wrong. They think that turning your feet this way is opening up, but it's really just delofting the club and backing the ball up in your stance. Here is actually how you open up. Here's my club. That's aiming straight. This is not opening up. We didn't do anything. This is opening up, actually turning and backing up this direction. And when I do that, now my club opens up to my stance versus shutting it down to my stance. That actually opened up the club. You see the difference? This actually shut it down. So let's just do this. To make things easy, how about this? How about we don't really need to do much here? Set up square. If you want to open up, just flare that left foot out. That's all we really want to do. And back the right foot up. So take the right foot, take a tiny half a step back, and flare the left foot out. There you go. Now, when I open up, just turn your shoulders. Feet are good. There we go. Now I'm opened up. That's really all you need. And you can get away with that. The other way, you can't get away with. So stop doing this and start doing that. For most of you already, this will already have been cured. But for those of you that still struggle with this, it could just be ingrained in you. Stop doing this. Okay, what did I do? I set up right, I did everything supposedly right, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to chip and stop. We don't want to stop the club. So many times you say you have the yips. What are the yips? Could be many things, but a lot of times you're just trying to stop right after you hit the ball. How do we fix that? Because a ton of players do that. They just want to stop. We got the fix for you right here. First, you have to understand where it comes from. It comes from poor technique and the wrong club choice. So hopefully we've already fixed it like we said, but then sometimes you fix everything, you still are just conditioned to stop that club. So all you're gonna do is this. As you swing, As you swing, I'm gonna try to get the handle of the club low and wrap it around my backside here. So I'm getting the handle around my body here. Here. And just here's the practice feeling. All you're doing is like rowing a boat like this. Like you've had a paddle and you're rowing the left side of the canoe. That's your move right here, okay? So you're taking that and you're just rowing the boat here. That's it. So you're swinging and just think about rowing the boat. Rowing the boat. So row your club a few times here. You know, you're out on the frontier in the river and you're just rowing your canoe. That's what you're doing. So I'm just gonna row the canoe here. Look at that. And the smoother you row, the easier it is. So instead of thinking about, I gotta chip this close. Let me chip it close, let me chip it close. Just think about, let me just do a little row. Like you're trying to sneak up on a fish to get in the right spot and you're just like, shh. You're not just gonna go and stop the canoe in the water. You're gonna you just want to, nobody ever stops a canoe or a paddle. No, you don't stop the paddle in the water. You row it through. So you're just trying to sneak into that little fishing hole right there. And it's like the last little row. That's your shot right here. Watch this. I'm rowing in. I'm just rowing in to my fishing hole right here. That's all I'm doing. Look at that. Almost made it. You gotta do it quietly. You gotta whisper while you do it too. You just whoosh. You row in the spot. One more thing that people are doing wrong, you might not need it. You might just row into the best chipping of your life. But if you need that last thing, we'll get you right here. Stop trying to make it in the hole. People are trying to make it or get it close to the hole. No, wrong. I'm not trying to get it in the hole. I'm not trying to get it close to that hole. You see, this shot, I'm trying to make it in this hole. I'm visualizing a hole that's like a giant 3-foot circle right here. This is in it. This is about 3 feet. That's perfect. This is my hole here. Okay? Look at that circle. But then I'm going to adjust that circle a little bit because the green slopes this direction. It goes that way. I don't want to be on this side. So I'm going to move my circle because a 3-footer from here is more difficult to make with my putt than a 3-footer from here. This is straight up the hill. I can make this all day long and my friends will probably give it to me. So it's not a big deal. But if you have this downhill slider from here, 3 feet, exponentially more difficult than the other side. So I'm gonna shift my circle to like, I want a 1-footer on this side because a 1-footer on this side is equivalent to a 4-footer on this side. So I'm just gonna move my circle a little bit, okay, about a foot. So I'm gonna shift my circle down over here. Too many times we look at that tiny hole and we're like, all right, let me make it. Forget that. You gotta think about the long game, the consistency. So now I've moved my circle, I'm visualizing the circle, and that's what I'm trying to make it in. That's it. Well, that's great. Beautiful. Okay. Maybe I went too far. All right, I went a little far, but still, we're good. We're below the hole. Let me adjust my circle. Right? I move my circle forward. Whatever. So when you're on the course and you're like, okay, stop looking at that little hole, expand it to whatever your dispersion pattern is and row it in there. Oh, right there. Row the boat into your circle. Right there. Row the boat. There it is. Those are the things that we're still doing wrong that we gotta fix. Good luck to you guys. Love you. See you next time.